Today I'm sewing up the pattern Kassidy from Stitches by Christy. This is her brand new pattern and I'm really excited to get started sewing it. I have not made one yet. I am making some changes on the bag. The main thing I'm doing is I'm changing up the strap. The strap on this pattern actually is kind of a feature focus, and so I probably shouldn't be changing it up because it is a really nice look to it. It is a double fold strap, really cute. But I wanted to use this fabric and I'd already cut it out. This webbing just matched perfectly and I couldn't get it out of my mind. I had to use the webbing. So I decided to change the pattern to use webbing instead of the special unique strap, but the pattern does walk you through the steps to make that strap if you want to do it. I am using fabric from Jen's Fabric. My webbing is from the Emporium, thread from Wizardry, zipper tape from So Majestic, and these zipper pulls are actually from Stitches by Christy herself. She's doing a couple other things besides just writing patterns, and so I'm really excited to see what all she comes up with. So let's go ahead and get started sewing up this adorable bag. To get this pattern started, we're going to start working on the exterior pockets. There will be a pocket on the front of the bag. For your fabric pieces, you will have one exterior and then 3 lining pieces for both of the zipper pockets. You will have one piece of zipper tape with your zipper pull on it, a zipper tab on one end, and the other end folded down 90 degrees. For the zipper tab, it is just a 4-way fold and I have it slipped on there. The first thing I'll do is I will sew across with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance away from this folded edge. After I get that zipper tab sewn on, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take one of my lining pieces and I'm going to center the zipper tape on the top of it. So my lining piece will be right sides up, zipper tape will be right sides up and centered all along that top edge, and I'm just going to base that in place. After I have the zipper tape basted onto one of the linings, I take the exterior piece and I flip it so that they are right sides together. The exterior, the lining, and the zipper tape are right sides together. I'm going to match it all along that top edge, and this time I will sew with the full seam allowance. Now that I have these pieces sewn right sides together, I'll flip them apart. And I'm going to go ahead and pull those 2 pieces wrong sides together and top stitch along that edge I just sewed. I will top stitch just in between the zipper. I won't go to the sides, so from the zipper front to the zipper tab. So this is what we have now, top stitched, and this is the way it looks on the lining. What you're going to do at this point is you're going to use those other 2 lining pieces to do the same thing on this other side. We will take this zipper pocket that we have started. We will have a lining piece right sides up. Pull the zipper tape so that it matches at the top. Make sure that the pieces match at the side. And if you want, you can base that in place, which is what I'll do. I'll just do it off camera. But then you will also come back in with that other lining piece, place it right sides together, sew it with the seam allowance given in the pattern, and then flip it to where that is one complete pocket. I'm going to do those steps off camera and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like and we'll talk about the next step. This is what that front pocket looks like. Here's the exterior and here is the lining. I did add a tag to my exterior side. Here is the 2 lining bits. Everything's top stitched. The next step we do is we simply fold this in half so that your zipper is on top. You can clip it if you need to, but what you're going to do is you're going to mark your center and then you're going to pull out one of those main panel pieces and match up the center marks on the main panel and this pocket piece. So you will have it centered on the sides. It'll be a little bit below the top. The zipper will be there at the top, and this is how it should look. Before we go any further, I just want to talk a little bit about interfacing. I'm using cotton canvas for every piece. I also interfaced every piece with a SF101 on these 2 main exterior pieces and my exterior gusset pieces. I added a layer of Thermolan. Also, just as a note, this pocket does get a little thick. If you're someone who wants to save a little on interfacing, I really don't feel like you need to interface all the pieces of this pocket if you're using a cotton canvas. If you're using a cotton woven, then yeah, sure. But a cotton canvas, I could have skipped that step. So now that we have this in place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew down this side, across the bottom, and up the other side. This is just a basting stitch to prepare us for the next step, so I'm only going to do 1/8 of an inch away. You're going to repeat those same steps for the other side of the main panel and the other pocket piece. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to pull out your webbing or your straps, whatever you are using. I want to show you how my strap looks and talk a little bit about these steps. I prepped my strap ahead of time. Typically, whenever I do a bag like this, I would not have attached the strap yet, but I'm going to be honest with you and say that I've been having trouble getting a straight stitch after this is attached to the bag. Just maneuvering it under my machine, kind of manhandling it. Sometimes I will veer off and it'll just look sloppy, and I'm getting kind of frustrated with myself on it. So now what I decided to do is to try out this method to see if I have this kind of assembly whenever you're doing it this way, if I sew it first and then add it to the bag to see how it looks. Now this may be a big aggravation because this webbing might be in the way, but I just really want to try to improve the look and the quality of my bags. So this is what I'm doing. So the first thing I want to do is I want to top stitch on both of the handle pieces. This is the connector pieces. Before we do that, let's just look at the back. You can see that I have one 1-inch rectangular ring. I have both pieces of the webbing, both the handle and the connector, attached to that ring, and I have them both folded under about 1 inch. The pattern does tell you you could add one of those like tri-glide, the triangle connectors onto here. I didn't have any of those, but the purpose of that would be for a strap crossbody to clip on. I feel like if I want to wear this as a crossbody, I could clip it onto here and save myself a little bit on the hardware. That's what I'm going to do. If I had that triangular connector, I would add it on here, but since I don't, I'm not going to make the special purchase for it. I'm not even going to make a crossbody strap. I really like the look of it just being kind of a simple handbag personally. The first row of stitches I want to do is right above the rectangular ring on the handle portion. I went ahead and did that row of top stitching on both of these pieces. That's just going to secure that webbing to itself and have a little bit more of a uniform look. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece over to that panel, and I want my webbing to be centered over that raw edge of the pocket going all the way up. I'm going to shift mine a little bit so that it's not going over that zipper tab, that it's just over that pocket piece. I definitely don't want to have to sew through the zipper tab and the webbing. I'm feeling like this would be a great place for a layer of glue just to secure this down so that whenever I'm sewing, I don't have to worry about it shifting and looking uneven at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you how I clip this webbing on both sides, but I'm going to go off camera and take my time, make sure I pull out a ruler, everything looks good, and I'm actually going to glue this webbing down so that whenever I come back to sew it, and it won't be moving. If you use double-sided tape, you could definitely do that too. I just don't do that. My straps look even here. If they weren't looking even, I would shift them at the bottom. And I'm also checking to make sure my handle is not twisted. And then when I come back, we will sew these connectors into place. I'm going to start at the bottom and go all the way up and over. If you wanted to put a rivet or something in place here, you could. If you wanted to sew a box, you could, or do an extra row of stitching. Those are all options for this step here. I have both of the exteriors done, the back and the front, so I'm going to set these to a side while I start working on the interiors. We are going to make 2 interior slip pockets. So you'll have 2 pieces. Your exterior piece will be smaller than that lining piece. The reason why is that we're going to have a little bit of a faux binding on the top of this. So let's separate these pieces and get 1 lining and 1 exterior. We're just going to match them up at that top edge. So right sides together. If your print is directional, this is the top. sew along here with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Then you're going to pull these apart. If you want, you can finger press this seam or you can just leave it flat. And then you're going to shift it so that the bottoms match up now. You can take this over to the iron if you want to press that flat, or you can just finger press it. I'm going to top stitch on both sides of this just because I really want it to look nice. I'm going to top stitch across the top 1/8 of an inch away, and then I'm going to top stitch again across the bottom 1/8 of an inch away also. After you get that top stitch, go ahead and pull out one of the backing pieces. Have it right sides up, lay that pocket on top right sides up, and then we're just going to baste this in place around the sides and the bottom. The basting step is kind of unnecessary, but I feel like it just helps get a proper sew. After you have these steps completed, go ahead and pull out 2 of the side pieces. Go ahead and place both of those right sides together, matching up that long side. And you're going to sew both of these with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Once you have both sides sewn, simply flip them over, leave your seam allowance up, press it flat, and go ahead and top stitch down each of those seams. You're top stitching on the side and the seam, not on the pocket piece. This is how the interior looks. It's now time to go ahead and attach it to the exterior because we will be binding around this bag. Like I said, I have this extra strap here, the webbing that you may or may not have on yours. I'm going to tuck it down in here in hopes that it won't get in the way too much. I'm going to line this up. You're going to center it on here. I'm going to clip it around, and then I'm going to baste all around. Then I will trim it up. I want to point out you do have some extra bulk around here, so if your machine struggles with bulk, you may want to consider if you use fleece like I did and interface all your pieces to keep it out, the fleece out of the seam allowance, or you may just choose to not interface all the pieces. Like the lining pieces really don't need interfaced. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to baste it 1/8 of an inch all the way around, definitely sewing this from the exterior side since I have all that bulk. After I do this step, I will go off camera, trim up this piece, and then do the exact same thing with the other side. I have both exteriors attached to the linings. One other thing you can do if you want is the pattern gives you the instructions to make a key minder. The key minder would be really actually about 1/2 of an inch wide and use 1/2 of an inch hardware, but since I was using the webbing, I just grabbed a piece of the webbing and put a 1-inch swivel hook on it. So I'm going to just baste this in place here just to kind of help whenever you open your bag. You can hang your keys there. Not a definite if you don't think this is something that you would use, but I'm just going to clip it and baste it into place. Now that we have these pieces complete, it's time to work on that gusset. Our gusset is going to have 1 zipper. I'm going to use 2 zipper pulls. And then I'll have 2 base pieces. 1 lining. My exterior base piece does have a layer of the Thermolan attached to it. And then I have 2 zipper panels. 2 for the lining, 2 for the exterior. This is going to be a basic gusset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 1 lining piece for the zipper gusset, take my zipper tape, lay it on top. Both of these are right sides up, and I'm going to have this zipper matching that long edge. I'm going to baste this in place, and then I'm going to come back in with the exterior with the full seam allowance. If your zipper panels are directional, make sure you orientate them the way you want. And let's go ahead and take this piece and flip it right sides down so everything is right sides together. Both the lining and the zipper is right sides together with that exterior. And also this time you want to make sure you match up those short edges. We're going to go ahead and take these two zipper panel pieces, place them wrong sides together, and I kind of give it a little tug, and then I'm going to baste along this raw edge. That will help me to come in and get a better top stitch after I have this side basted first. So I'm just going to baste about 1/8 of an inch away. Now whenever I'm top stitching, I'm just going to have a little bit of pressure and kind of pulling on both of these, and I'll do that top stitching just 1/8 of an inch away, and I'll try to make sure I'm not pulling too hard that it's distorting the zipper as well. This is how the first side looks. I'm going to repeat those same steps to attach the other side. Also off camera, I'll go ahead and add the zipper pulls and then trim up the zipper tape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out that base lining piece, have it right sides up, take that zipper panel and place it on top right sides up. I'm going to add a few clips just to help it stay in place. I'm going to then take that lining base and flip it so that it is right sides together with the zipper gusset. And then what I'll do is I'll just sew along that short edge with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Now I'm going to separate the zipper gusset from the base, pull those two, and just top stitch. So now you're top stitching through the two base pieces and the seam. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take those two base pieces. The exterior will clip right sides together with the exterior. The lining will wrap around and clip right sides together with the lining. You're going to sew that seam in place with the same seam allowance. Now you will just separate these to make a loop. And what you'll do now is you're going to sew from this edge all the way down to baste those two pieces together, top stitch across this short edge, and then baste all the way back. The basting and the top stitching I'll do both with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that the gusset is done, what you need to do is you need to find your quarter marks on your gusset and on your main panels. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to clip exteriors right sides together. With mine, it does not matter which is the front or which is the back. My zipper pulls, I have 2 on there, and I do have a tag on this one, but it really doesn't matter to me. They both look pretty much the same. So once you find your quarter marks, you will orientate your gusset so that your zipper's at the top and you match up your half mark at the top, half mark at the bottom, then do the same thing for the sides and then clip all the way around. I'm going to go off camera and clip this all together, then I will come back and show you how it looks, and then we will talk about how we're going to sew it. I went ahead and clipped the exterior right sides together with the gusset. So the main panel exterior and this gusset are clipped right sides together. It fits great. Fits really good. I'm going to keep my hemostats really close because I do feel like there's going to be some slipping on the curves because there is a lot of bulk. And so when I have a lot of bulk and things are really structured, I don't have a lot of give. So I feel like I'm going to have to be pulling to keep everything in line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to baste, just like I always do, with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around this perimeter. Then I come back in with the full seam allowance with binding. I haven't decided what I'm using for binding. I'm going to go look and see what I have and see what matches. But after I do this initial round, just to show you how I go around, I'm not going to show you the other steps of putting on the binding or attaching the back and then binding it, because it's the same thing. You're just sewing around the perimeter. I have lots of videos on binding. If you have any questions about it, or if you would like to see a tutorial just on binding, let me know. But basically, I'll either choose a ribbon to just wrap around, or I will use double fold binding, just whatever matches and looks the best for me. And also, I'll have to have something that is wide enough to go around that bottom part where it is so thick. So you can see right now the curves are going great. I do not need to use the hemostats right now. Would love it if I don't. Oh, there goes some slipping right there. So as soon as it starts slipping, I don't wait till it slips too much. Even if it's just 1/8 of an inch, I go ahead and grab it and get it out just to prevent any problems. And that's one reason why I only do this 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. It allows me to really focus on any kind of slippage I might have. That gusset fit beautifully. It looks great already. Now, I did just go slow around here, but even though I was trying to watch for these handles to not go in there, I forgot about this, and it kind of got caught up in there, and so I had to pull it out. So you can see it kind of even shredded a little bit, but be careful with this hardware for your minder that it doesn't flip up like mine had and got stuck under the needle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera, like I said, and do binding with the full seam allowance and then attach the back the same way. I'm going to do all those steps off camera, so when I come back, my bag will be completely done. I have my Kassidy bag completed, bound all the way around. Now it's just time to turn it right sides out. My seams stick right at the bottom. They are very thick, but they look good. I'll probably have to put some clips in to compress everything overnight just to let it be able to lay the way I want it to. But this is a great fitting bag, no problems at all. This bag turned out so cute. I'm going to definitely do some shaping. You can see around the sides how this is kind of dented in. The bottom's a little bit dented out, so I'll definitely do some shaping on it. But this bag turned out so cute. I love the way it looks. It comes together really quick. And I want to give a special thanks to Christy for having this gusset so low. That makes this bag open. I got clips on the back here. Let me get those off so we can see. Having that gusset low makes this bag open really wide and also makes it very easy to turn out for those of us that have problems with our hands a little. It makes it just an easier turn, but just you don't have to worry about losing anything in there. You can see everything clearly. You have two slip pockets on both sides. You have the key minder. You have the slip pocket on the front and the zipper pocket. Plenty of storage, plenty of organization. I feel like this is actually a really good kind of like travel bag. For those of us that want to like have everything organized, this would be a great bag to keep with you, to have things that are like you don't want to lose. Like say your vitamins, your supplements, your glasses, things like that. Everything can be just right in its place. Super love this pattern. Definitely be making more. I honestly thought it would even be such a good shape turned like this way. Let me see if I can get it all on the camera. Turned this way, I think it would also be a really good shape. It's just got a really good design there. This would be great for panels either this way or this way. Just leave off this front and you have a great place for a panel. The things I would do differently would definitely be that interfacing. I did just add a little too much interfacing in the seams only. The rest of the interfacing I'm completely fine with, but I would have kept it on my seams because you can see how it's rolling. I'm going to clip all around here and just kind of let that compress and get it to be a better shape. But the pattern is from Stitches by Christy, one of my favorite pattern designers. The fabric is from Jen's Fabric. Of course, the webbing is from the Emporium, where I'm getting all my webbing these days. This zipper pull is from Stitches by Christy too. Tag is from Heartwood and Hyde. Zipper tape is from So Majestic. If you have any questions about this tutorial or any others, let me know. But other than that, I hope today in your sewing room you have the opportunity to sew something super cute, colorful, and sweet. And I also hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for watching another one of my tutorials.